It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, so what I'm about to say and tell you is deeply distressing. And frankly, if this was your mum or your nana, you'd be horrified. But somehow, I hope any coverage of this woman's plight can see the ball rolling on some action. But first, some context. Remember Cyclone Gabrielle and how it really hit hard Auckland's west coast beach suburbs? Smashed into the hills. You remember all that? And down came a number of houses in Muriwai. They just right down the bank. The damage was horrific. I've had a look at it. It took time to clean up, right? Remember, there were those two volunteer firefighters who lost their lives in a house that collapsed and slid down the bank, yeah? Well, next door to that house lived an 82-year-old woman called Kathleen Corlett, whose house is unlivable, and she's been forced to live in a bedroom in her sister's place in Pakalanga, right across town. Meanwhile, her fight to get a payout and move, it drags on. 18 long months, and the powers that be have left her languishing. She's now sick in hospital, and other homeowners have had their payouts. They've moved on. 82-year-old Kathleen is beside herself that she's making such slow progress. At 82, time is limited, and you're waiting 18 months for some progress. Her friends have contacted me, asking me to get involved to help in some way, whatever way I can. I want to read you some of the letter that they've sent me. Duncan, hi. We got to know Kath and her circumstances and have tried to be of some assistance to her in getting this resolved. But the powers involved are dragging their tails and making life really stressful for Kath. We have emails from the Kaipara MP, Chris Pink, who's also trying to get something moving, but Kath was getting no real progress or contact from him. And it's always one-sided in that we must keep chasing them for information. Because of the length of time and the lack of contact with Kath, it has now become ridiculous. It has become ridiculous that they would treat her like this when we have been informed that her estimated repairs are very close to the 25% needed to make it a Category 3, the write-off, right? We are informed that the neighbours have attached a hose to her water source and have broken her water pump. Her car is still on site, damaged, and Kath has no access to the property. We are certain that it would be unsafe for her to return, as she is quite deaf and not as mobile as she was. So if something did happen, she may not even be aware of it until it's too late. Kath rang the council last week to speak to her builder to try and get some actual answers, and was told that he'd call her back. He's meant to be doing the costings, and he was very keen to tell her that it's taken time because he's been away for 2 weeks on holiday. These things happen. And it's now during the week, it's the evening, and nothing's been communicated to her whatsoever. Nothing about the outcome, no decisions that were made. So she's in the dark. We're disgusted that someone of Kath's age can be dismissed and ignored for so long because, well, she's polite and not a noisy wheel. And heck, she might even die if we leave it long enough anyway. That's sort of the impression that we're getting. The real reason, or more of a plea, I would like you or someone to take this on board. I know it's given her days and days of depression and despair and anguish. And she had a fall on Monday. She's in hospital and she needs to have surgery on a broken hip. This is a major operation and takes a lot out of the elderly. So even for her recovery from this, it'll be more stressful for her as she has nowhere to go, nowhere to call home, nowhere to recuperate in peace. If this is how our MPs and council treat the elders of our community, then God help us all. This woman deserves her home to be paid out so she can settle. So she can settle somewhere with her loved cats and enjoy her well-deserved twilight in peace. We're all feeling it, and we're all feeling like we're getting nowhere, but nothing but smoke and mirrors and fob off political speak. Kath needs help. Why is it taking so long for a decision to be made? Your presence, Duncan, might add a certain amount of urgency to this, and this poor woman would not feel that she's been abandoned by her community, that she's been part of her whole life. I've contacted you and one other person in the media, and I hope to get some progress. Kath needs someone on her side. I'm putting this out here because these are never easy cases, right? This is day one for me in this. And I'll do what I can and make some calls, and let's build some fresh pressure. But ask yourself this, folks. At 82 years of age, doesn't Kath deserve some dignity and a decision so she can move on? Of course she does. So let's see what we can do.
Duncan Garner, live.